Welcome to Global Light Tuition Center. Remember, when your mind is enlightened, your future is bright. It is our aim to make sure that your mind is enlightened in order to brighten the future. So therefore, let us proceed with what we have in stock today. So as you can see, we have a question here on the board which has to do with functions. So this is a question in paper 1 mathematics. So let's focus, let's solve the question. So the question states, given that f of x equals 3x minus 5, there is O over 2, and g of x equals x plus 2. Find question A, f inverse of x. So I'll be solving the question. Then the second question, which is question B, which is f inverse, which is of 5, there's f g of x. So I'll start by solving the first question, which is the inverse of a function. So now for us to solve the inverse of the function, you get the function that represents first f. For us to solve f inverse of x, so I'll get the function that represents f, which is this one. So I'll write f of x, which is equal to 3x minus 5 over 2. Now, for me to find the inverse of this function, what I'll do, I'll substitute this part with the letter of my choice. So you have to substitute this part with the letter of your choice, don't forget that. So here, I'll substitute with y, then I'll do y equals 3x minus 5 over 2. So the next part that I'll do is to make x the subject of the formula. So for me to make x the subject of the formula, here I'll just say over 1, then I'll do cross multiply. 1 times everything there, they'll give me 3x minus 5, which is 1 times 3x is 3x, 1 times 5, negative 5, it's negative 5. Then there, y times 2, it's 2y. So remember, we're intending to make x the subject of the formula. So for us to remain with x here, so this 5 should close the equal sign, or in other ways, we find the additive, or the divided with the additive inverse. So the simpler way is just to take this one that side. So when it crosses the equal sign, the sign changes to positive. So it will be 3x, which is equal to 2y positive 5 there. So for us to make x the subject of the formula, we divide by 3. Again there, we divide by 3. So after cancelling this, you remain with x equals 2y plus 5 over 3. So now after doing that, we have accomplished of making x the subject of the formula. Then you get what you are taught to find. You substitute there, which is f inverse of x, which is equal to 2x plus 5, where there is y, I've substituted with x over 3. So this is the inverse of this function, which is f of x there. Now the next question there, we're taught to find which is f inverse, then of 5 there. So what we're going to do, it's like just a continuation where we ended there. We just have to proceed from there. So what I'll do there, there's f inverse, then I'll just write first the function, the f inverse of x, so which is 2x plus 5 over 3. So for me to find now what we call f inverse, you can see where there is x there that I've substituted with 5. I'll add a 5 there since they have substituted with a 5. So if here there is x, now they have substituted with 5, meaning where there is x there, we're supposed to substitute with 5. So it will be 2, where there is x, I'll substitute with 5, then I'll say plus 5 over 3. So if I multiply 2 times 5, the answer there, 2 times 5, it will be f inverse 5. It will be here, which is 10 plus that one, which is 15 over 3 there. Then, with the final answer, 3 into 15, it will be 5. Don't forget I said 2 times 5, it's 10. So after finding 10, you add to this one, which is 15, then you divide, you can see there, which is 5. Then we go to the last question, which is C. Then there's a fg of x, which is a composite function. There is what we call the combination of two functions. So let's proceed with C. Or now we can solve this one. I'll write it over here. So I'll write f g, then g of x there. So you can see, for you to solve a composite function, you check the first function that you have been given. Now the first function here, it's f. So I'll get the function that represents f. I'll write f of x. If g was the first letter, I would have started with g. Now since f is the first letter, so therefore I'll start with f. I'll get the function that represents f, which is this one. So I'll write it over here as 3x minus 5 over, which is 2 there. Then the second part, I'll check the second letter there. As you can see, the second letter is G. So if the second letter is G, I'll write them like this. F, G, then F, G of X. Now, if G was the second letter, it simply means that this G will be substituted where there is X. You can see that we started with F first, then the second part it was F, then the second letter was G, meaning the G there should substitute where there is X. So it will be like this. So I'll write like this for the sake of explanation. It has to be, since G is the second one, it has to be Gx minus 5 over 2. You can see what is happening here. F represented the function. G substituted where there is X there. So now from there, what I will do, I'll write Fg of X. I'll write 3. Now, where there is gx there, I'll get the function here, which is x plus 2, the function that represents g. So what I'll do, I'll write x plus 2, I'll close, minus 5 there, then I'll divide by 2 there. So after doing that, I'll proceed. Fg of x will be, so now I'll expand here, this times this one, it will give us 3x. So which is 3 times x, which is 3x. 3 times 2, the answer there will be 6 minus 5 there. Then all over 2 there. So I'll write Fg of x equals. So what I'll do, I'll write 3x. Now you can see that the signs are different. So when the signs are different, you subtract, you get the same from the big number. Meaning here we have positive 1. Then we divide by 2. That's all about the function. But all in all, I would love to say your follow to this group will take us to another level.